I'd have to say right away, strength training, weightlifting, resistance. That's where I was able to reverse osteopenia. That's where I gained confidence. That's where I feel accomplished. And the goal can change and keep changing. And it's nice to see how far you've come.
Yeah.
So I think that's got to be the number one thing that has changed my life and made it much better in my 60s and 70s.
I agree with you. And if you don't know what strength training is, or you're kind of lost, you've never done, this is where you get a trainer, right? You they'll
Absolutely.
teach you, and you start with just one little lift, or you work on that one little pull up and you get going. All right. Well, it's a real pleasure to have Ginny MacColl on the show today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be with you and your audience.
Oh wow. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. And I'm just talking briefly off camera that how I found you. And it was somebody in my audience who shared your story. It was one of those Instagram reel clips of you doing the American Ninja Warrior at 71. And I just love, my whole feed is filled with people like this because I just find it so inspiring. And it's part of, yeah, one part of my mission is disrupt ageist stereotypes. So we always think it's just one stereotype and you're totally disrupting it. And I love to get inspired. And when we see people doing that, it's not that it's impossible anymore. Not that we'll become ninja warriors or anything, but we know that it's possible, and that can actually change the trajectory of aging.
Absolutely. And that's one of my big points is the stereotypes that we grew up with and that people have to throw away because you can get stronger as you age and you won't get too bulky. And so people think that kind of a thing and they don't give themselves the power to push their limits as far as you can go.
Yeah, I'm so inspired by you, and I would love to know a little bit more about your story because you started off in the Broadway as a dancer, and I saw you did some commercials, I guess in the 80s or 90s.
Yes.
The break now, and then you became this Ninja Warrior. Like, it's a massive shift. So what happened? Like, how did you make this transition?
Well, it really wasn't a quick transition. I stopped dancing when I was 30 years old, but I went to New York to become a professional dancer. And I spent a lot of time in modern dance companies and on scholarship. And it took a while before I got to the Broadway stage. But that was like, to me, that was like the top of the top. It was the most wonderful, magical time of my life. But it evolved into the TV commercials, as you said. And I didn't dance again until I was a single mom and had to get a real job, which was teaching dance. And so I really didn't do that much dance between my age 30 to 62 when I retired. And when I retired, I was also able to have the time to watch my daughter, who was a star on American Ninja Warrior. She'd gone farther than any other female. And I saw her and I went and I was the cheerleader on the sidelines. And I looked at her as she went through the course and she had such grace and strength and fitness and she had muscles and they looked great and healthy. And I just went, I want to get stronger. She was showing little girls that you can and it's cool to get strong. And I wanted to be one of those bigger girls who could get stronger too, because that was how I grew up, that you don't want to get too bulky because it's not feminine and women can't do the same kind of exercises as men. They had to modify, for instance, a push-up, that you had to put your knees down to do it. So we were fed a lot of this kind of messaging, and it's hard to get that out of your mind, the negative thoughts of what you're capable of doing. So I saw her and I went, all this was not true. So it was a big disservice to women. And I asked her, I said, what can I do? Because I'd like to get stronger. And that was my pure motivation, was to get stronger. And she said many different things, but one of them that stood out to me was to do pull-ups. Now, pull-ups are one of the hardest things that you can learn to do. There I am with my bar in the door frame and it had handles coming down from it. And I was just struggling away to try to do a pull-up for quite a long time and not really getting anywhere. I went to a personal trainer, and I'm a big believer in going to a personal trainer because it's too easy to hurt yourself. And you need that person watching you going, oh, your neck is, pull your shoulders back and don't look down and don't let your knees fall in. And to constantly be after you so that you have the proper form to do these things and don't hurt yourself. That's the goal. We don't want to hurt ourselves. And so that's really where it all began because I had a goal, and I'm a big believer in goals, of 5 pull-ups. I thought that was an attainable goal. And it took an entire year with a personal trainer now to get 1 pull-up. Wow. Because you had to get the arms and shoulders, the back, the chest, the legs, the whole body you have to be working on. But it was such a sense of accomplishment to get that 1 pull-up. But that wasn't the end. It was difficult to get the second one and third one too. So it was quite a process to get stronger. And once I got stronger, I had more confidence and felt better.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I can't believe it took a whole year and you didn't give up. Most people would be after a couple weeks or a couple months be like, you know what, it's just not worth it. And you didn't give up, which was incredible. And I'm so proud of you for sticking with it. And you're right. Most people, a pull-up is really hard. And most people I meet can't do one. And so takes time and it takes a lot of discipline and motivation. And your motivation was you watched your daughter and you thought that was amazing and you wanted to get stronger. It wasn't because you fell and cracked a rib or I don't know, you couldn't open a jar one day. It was just being inspired by her. Is that right?
That is totally true. Yes. And I didn't have any aspirations of being a American Ninja Warrior. That was not even a thought in my brain. I just wanted to get stronger. And I'd always loved the look of strong arms on a woman. My daughter did gymnastics growing up. And so I was always admiring how strong and capable these women were in the gymnastics.
Yeah, I agree. I like the look, and the ones who feel that, oh, I don't want to get bulky, you're absolutely right. It is so hard to get bulky. I wish we could get bulky.
No, it's not easy to get.
It's certainly not easy. And then when we go through menopause, we lose our estrogen, which just helps supports this whole thing. It's even harder. So yeah, no, I agree. And as a gerontologist, I'm always studying aging and looking at longevity and diseases of aging and sarcopenia and fractures and falls. And all this is kind of scary. And I don't think people realize the importance of building muscle. It's not for aesthetics. It's for being able to be independent. And if anyone wants to be independent, most older adults do want to be independent. They want to age in place. They want to be in their home. They don't want to go to a nursing home. Well, then you got to be strong. And that's part of the game. And I always say that as we age, we cannot slow down. We have to actually speed up. And it gets harder. Unfortunately, it didn't come to us as easily as it did before. So it is a time to work harder and be stronger.
Yeah, if you don't do anything, that's when the aging process takes over. And it does. You have to fight against it constantly. Bone loss is one of the big things, bone density. And that was a trigger for me because after 2 years of lifting weights, I was able to reverse osteopenia. And I have to stop here and say that so many women I talk to have never heard that term, osteopenia, which is the step before osteoporosis. And I had never heard it either until I was in my 40s and the doctor says, we have osteopenia. And I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. What is it? And it is a step before osteoporosis. It's a bone loss, and it tends to happen 1 to 2% per year. And that can start as early as 30. I've had people write to me that were 26 and had that. Yeah. So you want to have strong bones because you don't want to get off balance, fall, and break a hip. That's a dangerous time. So I went, well, what do I do? And she said, well, you take calcium. I said, okay, but how do I get rid of this? I want strong bones. And she's like, it's just part of the aging process. And that's that term that just like, it gets me because, okay, yes, it can be part of the aging process, but not if you keep moving. And you have to do the things like weightlifting. If people started weightlifting in their 20s and 30s and kept going and kept learning how to get stronger, maybe osteopenia and osteoporosis could go away for some people, not everybody, obviously. extenuating circumstances. But I think it's so important to get those messages out to people that you can reverse it. It's important to know that. And you must, because of that, as I said, you actually lose 20% after menopause. In those 5 years afterwards, 20% of your bone loss, which is terrifying. And the same thing with muscles. If you don't keep working your muscles, that's the organ of longevity. The muscles allow you to open a jar, to get up and down out of a chair, to go up and down stairs and put your groceries away and pick up your kids. It's so important. And I think it's hard for me to be able to explain to people. They may get inspired, but it's getting that first step. It's getting going. It's like, oh wow, I'm gonna do this program and I'm gonna start walking. And then the next day it's like, oh well, it's raining. I don't want to go outside. It's just that first step. The worry of walking into a gym, or the worry of falling or hurting yourself, or all those things that keep you, that negative thoughts. We have so many negative thoughts that keep us away from making those first steps. But it's so important.
And your doctor basically just told you to suck it up. It's part of aging. Like this is unacceptable. I'm so glad you're out there disrupting this, because it is, yes, we can do something. And no, calcium is just not going to do it. Like, that's it. Honestly, we have to do so much more than that. So it just blows my mind. So then so you were in your 40s when you were told you have osteopenia. And this is very common in my community. We're in our 40s and 50s, more or less, our audience here. And I get so many women coming to me saying, I've got osteopenia or osteoporosis. What can I do? I've been told there's nothing, same story as yours, nothing really I can do about it, or just take some calcium, maybe some vitamin D, and go home. But when you were told this in your 40s, like what did you dive deeper to figure out how to reverse osteopenia? And then what did you do, and how long did it take till you got that result? Hey, you're out of this zone now.
Sadly, I didn't do anything. I just listened to the doctor and I took calcium. It wasn't until I wanted to get stronger that I was able to reverse it. And that's when I really started using my media platforms to say, hey, we can do this. I've learned since then to be my own advocate, to look further into things and to see what you can do. But I am grateful that I've been able to go through the process of using the weights and using the strength to prove that you can reverse it. So I'm hoping more and more people will take up arms and work on either resistance bands or just out walking. Walking can be a good thing to do to have the impact to strengthen the bones and muscles and everything. It's a good way to start.
So how long did it take then from your realization when you started probably doing the pull-ups going, okay, wait, I have osteopenia and I don't want to injure myself. So how long did it take until you reversed the osteopenia?
Well, it was in my late 40s. I've tried to look it up to see when exactly, but I don't know. But I know late 40s. And I didn't start lifting weights until I was 63.
And then when did
that long, I just let it be. That's what the doctor said. And so I guess I just forgot about it totally until I was able to reverse it. So that's a long time. That's a long time sitting there.
Yeah. But the thing is, you were proactive. So we don't know because you didn't test again until when?
Geez, I don't know. I guess it was when I must have had other tests. I'll have to go back and look because I have kept as many records as I can. But I'm not sure from that first. It couldn't have been 10 years that I waited before I had another test.
Usually 65 is when it's covered by insurance, which is ridiculous because that's already too late. It's amazing that you knew that somebody tested you in your 40s, which is unheard of, and you got some diagnosis. But the interesting thing is, so I'm assuming, right, when you got interested in becoming strong, you ate more protein, you did your exercises, you did some impact, you did a lot of things to change that. I don't know what else, maybe more supplements. Did you remember what other things you've incorporated that could have helped with the bones?
I've been thinking while you're talking that it makes sense because I started lifting weights at 63 and you're saying at 65, I probably had that first one since the diagnosis. So if that's right, and I guess every state might be different, I'm not sure, but I don't remember having a constant testing process. But if that's right, if insurance covers it at 65, that makes sense for me. That would have been the next time. That's when I would have realized that I reversed it.
Yeah.
Other things that I did, no, I've always been active. And I obviously started doing some Ninja Warrior things when I got to be the 65 as well. So that kind of thing I did. I didn't really add too many supplements to my diet.
Did you keep the calcium and the vitamin D or
I
vitamin?
do. I have to do that just because why would I stop? It doesn't seem to hurt me. And if it's going to help my bones. When they say aging process, it is a thing that happens. So I'm trying to fight against that all the time. I don't want to go back to osteopenia. So I have to do the calcium and the D vitamin and K2 and also doing the weightlifting. I'm not going to stop doing that because I just still like the feeling of being able to be stronger. I have arthritis and I don't know if you can see here, but my fingers are starting, my knuckles particularly, my fingers are starting to turn on me. But I can still hang by my fingertips doing a cliffhanger in American Ninja Warrior and I can still move like ever. So despite this arthritis, I'm trying to fight against it.
Amazing that's incredible because you need a lot of strength. And like you said, your fingertips hanging off of a cliff, anyone with arthritis, you would think would say, you know what, I can't do it because it's just too painful. Are you fighting through the pain or is it just like not there when you're in the moment?
It's not there in the moment. Adrenaline really takes care of a lot of things. But if I touch my finger, I can feel that it hurts or when I just go like that. But I love that saying that
Motion is lotion.
keep the parts moving so the moving parts don't rust.
Oh, yes.
So I
Many
like
out there,
that one. And that's the way I keep doing. I do this a lot. In fact, I take the rubber bands from my broccoli and I put it around my fingers and I stretch it out as an exercise.
Yeah.
And I do this a lot too. Anything I can do that's going to stretch my hands and fingers and keep them moving. You want to keep them oiled, right?
Yes.
So I do a lot of things like that. Same thing with your feet. Your feet are so important to you and you need strong toes and you need to be able to grab if you feel that you're losing your balance or you step down a curb the wrong way, you're able to grab. Your ankles are strong, your toes are strong. So I do toe exercises too. Little things that you can do when you're watching TV.
Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. With these teeny tiny things make a big difference. And the motion is lotion kind of a thing is also so true.
Well, grip strength is also a biomarker of health too. You want to be able to, that's one of the great things of having that bar and your door frame is that to hang and hold your own body weight is good for your grip.
Yeah.
So that when my husband says, "Hey, muscles, can you open this jar for me?" I can do it.
How many pull-ups can you do now? Or does it fluctuate?
Just the other day, I'm working on the project that I'm doing, and I got to 19.
Oh my goodness. Oh
yeah.
my God.
I was trying to see how many I could do in 30 seconds. So I got to 19.
That's huge. Oh, wow. That is huge. I was so proud I could do 9. I was like, wow.
That is good. That's
like,
excellent.
You still have a lot to go. I still need to work though. And I'm going to make 19 my goal.
Well, do it attainable. Don't go that far. Well, like I would go from 5 and then I went, okay, let me see if I can get to 7. Just little increments. Otherwise it gets very depressing. If you say, okay, I'm going to get to 15 and you're struggling. So the more you struggle, the more frustrated you get. So if you can just even pull up a little bit towards that 10th one. Would you say you got to 9? That's great.
Yeah, but I got 9 like this. You're holding
the chin up
forward. I'm doing the chin up. It's just easier.
That's good. It is easier, but it's still good for you. And I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, it's that last one where you're pulling up and you can't do it and you struggle for it. That's when you're getting your best strength. A funny story I have with my daughter. I love climbing ropes now. I was scared to death of the height at the time, and I was just trying to get up as far as I could before I didn't feel comfortable climbing the rope up. And I got to a certain place. I'm like, okay, I've had it. And I hear my daughter go, "Do one more." And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm near like 40 feet. So I did two more pulls and I looked down. I said, okay. And she said, do one more. And I'm like, why? Why is she doing this? Okay, maybe this has got to be 40 feet by now. I'm done. And I said, Jessie, why did you keep telling me to do one more? And she said, because that's when you get your strongest. So even though you're pulling and pulling, it's that extra effort you put into it that is getting you to the next step.
I agree. It's hard and it's painful, but it's the one that's where the magic happens.
That's where the magic happens. Yes.
Yeah. And we're unfortunately trained to seek comfort, not discomfort. So we stay in
True.
our comfort zone. And my husband always jokes because he always says, I always do 110%. And he's like, no, I always reserve like an extra 30, 40%, just in case later I'll just go up to 60%. It's fine.
Yeah, I forget what it is. The SEALs have a saying that at 40%, when you feel that you can't go anymore, it's only 40% that you've used. I said that wrong. They say that if you are exhausted and you can't go anymore and you just went, I'm done, like I did, then you still have 60%. You're only at 40%. You still have 60% left.
Wow. Wow.
So the human mind, it works against us a lot of times, and we have to push those limits.
Yeah. Going back to the bone density thing, I just want to, if anybody's listening to, I've done so many great podcasts on bone health with bone experts and doctors, and what they've told me, this is what I've gathered, is most of us are getting a DEXA scan, DEXA, and that's an acronym for something. It's too long for me to say, but it is the gold standard for showing bone density. But I'm not sure if you've heard of this before, but there's another scan called the REMS scan, REMS. And that one shows not only the bone density, but it also shows bone strength and bone quality. And this is really important for anyone who's been told that they have osteopenia, because you can have osteopenia and still have very strong bones. And the bones of a gymnast, right? And that means if you fall, despite the osteopenia or even osteoporosis, you will not break a bone. And that's super key. So I would recommend anyone because it can be frightening to have this diagnosis of osteopenia. And I was told myself I have osteopenia and I was shocked, but I'd also had osteoarthritis and I had lost range of motion and I had very little movement, very little exercise. And I was on hormones, but very baby dosages, like all the things. It made sense to me. I was like, no surprise. However, I know I could reverse this. So I know what it feels like to be told that you have osteopenia. It's a weight on my shoulders. But when I got the REM scan, I had the bones of almost a gymnast. It was whatever. It was very good quality. So I felt that I just felt a weight lift off my shoulder. And I knew that once I've had 2 hip replacements, believe it or not, at 55 or 54, this was last year. So I know that I will get back to activity and I'll get back to impact and it'll be fine. I know what I need to do. So I'm not too worried, but the REM scan is something I would say, go check that out.
I wrote it down. I'm very curious about that. Yeah. That's a good message to get out there.
Yeah. And then evidently there's a lot of flaws in the DEXA. And again, this is not me. Don't shoot the messenger. This is what I've been told is that it's not exact. So keep it with a grain of salt. Not that you shouldn't be, even if you do have not an osteopenia or osteoporosis, I still would do exactly what we need to do to preserve our bone. And because it's pretty much going to go downhill. So we want to just decelerate that trajectory as much as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's so many other things that go along with that too. One of them is balance. We need to work on our balance. I think Dr. Google says when you're 50 years old, you should be able to balance on one foot for 40 seconds. And when you're 60 years old, you should be able to balance on one foot for 20 seconds. And at 70 for 10 seconds. So it's something, again, to have a goal. But if you do it, you need to hold on to a desk or a counter, something so that you can catch yourself. I don't want anybody hurting themselves, but it's a good thing to start working on. And I do that a lot with some of my neighbors. We get together and we have all sorts of like low balance beams and fun things like the tops of PVC pipes. And we try to balance on those.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually fun and addicting.
Yeah.
But it's, and I love challenges and I love games. So we'll a lot of times like say, let's see who can stand on their one foot for the longest or on this balance beam with one foot for. And
Wow.
so the
Fun.
thing with that is that you're working on getting your bones stronger, but you also need to get your balance so that you don't trip in some way. And if you do trip, you can catch yourself because you've got strong ankles and toes, like I
And
said before.
yeah, there are programs out there that teach fall prevention in terms of how to fall. And maybe that's what you were
Correct.
doing when you were anybody who's doing Ninja Warrior, I guess, or any kind of stuntman, they know how to fall. And I think this is really key as we age is to like how if we fall, okay, we're going to fall. Like there's probably will fall again sometime before we die. And we just don't want to get that fracture. We want to fall well.
No.
So I'm wondering, were you taught how to fall at all when you were training for Ninja Warrior?
We did a tutorial, Jessie and I did actually, because she's a stunt woman as well. And so it's somewhere on the internet. She was teaching me the best ways to do a fall. And yeah, I see some people that just roll after any time they come down, they just immediately roll. But it's also, you don't want to get your knees in your face. There's a lot of things to it that are good to practice. I see on the internet too, there's a lot of things where if you do fall down, do you have the muscles to get back up again? That's something to practice, to get down on all fours, lay down, and then press yourself back up to all fours and try to work on getting up and down. Different from falling, but it is nice to know that if you fall, that you can get up, that you have the strength to do that. So, I mean, we're looking into the future, but the future can be tomorrow. So we need to practice these things all the time.
Exactly. I agree. I always say it's never too late to start, but it's better if we start earlier, right? And so that we have these tools and we just in our pocket. And if you don't practice them the day that you need them, it's going to be really hard. So prevention just isn't sexy. It's not fun. But I think I always talk about protecting your future self or protecting your 80-year-old self, and she'll thank you because you are doing these things throughout life. And unfortunately, we do lose so many things thanks to our modern world and our modern lifestyle. I'm here in Portugal right now, and
Oh,
it's in
wow.
a small fishing village. And I always think there's these cobblestone roads everywhere, and everything's uneven. And I'm like, this is brilliant. I know it's annoying. I know you can trip and fall, but it's actually really good for your ankle mobility. It's good for you to be paying attention that way. And I don't remember who I was following, some woman a long time ago, and she was saying the worst thing that we could do is walk on flat surfaces. We need to be challenging our muscles. And again, this is not a place for if you've never done this before and you just move here in your 70s, and well, yeah, you may have a hard time, but you can see people who've been living here forever. They're older adults and they're managing pretty well. I haven't seen anyone fall yet, but probably are used to this. And this is where if you've ever looked at the blue zones, these people
I have.
are taught, they go through life gently nudges them into longevity. They don't realize this is just the way it is. People who are living here in Portugal in this village go, well, I don't know anything else. And so I have to adapt. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. But I'm curious to know, how old are you now?
I will very soon. I'll be 74. I have a
74.
Halloween birthday, so I'm looking at 74.
Oh, well, exciting. So very soon. And so throughout your career as a dancer, it's always quite physically active. And then during the Ninja Warrior, which I want to hear how you got into that. But have you had any injuries or knee problems? Like I told you, I had hip replacements, anything that's been challenging for you?
Yeah, I did pull a muscle in my calf. I was going up the warped wall and I put the power on and I pushed and I felt that pop. So that took a little while to heal. I didn't have surgery. I didn't have anything like that. I just worked the muscle. And I also got what's called a mallet finger. It's a broken finger. Do you see how it goes down? You can.
Yeah, a little bit.
A lot of baseball players get it when the ball hits and it knocks it down like this, but the body actually had to wear a splint for a long time, but the body creates like a scaffolding and the bone builds again. But that's why there's the bump there because it's the calcified. But that hasn't kept me from doing cliffhangers. I can still do that. And my last injury was to my shoulder. I tore the supraspinatus, which is right here, right on the end. There are four muscles in the rotator cuff, and this is the most one that gets hurt right here. So I did a PRP.
That's platelet-rich plasma. These are injections where you take your own blood, spin it in a centrifuge, re-inject it to yourself.
You said that much better than I would say. It would have taken me longer to say it too. So I did that, and I did what's called soft wave, which is stimulating the stem cells. And I worked on mobility. And since then, that's one of my key talking points is mobility. Since then, I do my own PT, which is constantly working on getting that mobility because it gets kind of stuck. So I don't stop doing that. I know a lot of people who have had hip replacements or knee or this or that shoulder replacements that they get the PT for the 6 weeks or whatever it is, and then they stop.
Yeah.
But I think that you need to do it all the time. You need to just keep moving those parts and keeping them active. And so I work on that a lot still now, and I'm able to do just about everything. I'm a little worried about laches, which is when you swing on a bar and then you throw yourself off and you go 4, 5, 6, 7 feet and catch another bar. And the danger is that impact on your shoulder. A lot of times now what I do is that I will fly to it, but I don't catch it. I'll just act as if I'm going to catch it and go, okay, I'm there, and I drop down because that constant impact to the shoulders is rough on them. There's a lot of shoulder problems out there because of that, certainly in Ninja Warrior as well. So I always warm up my shoulders before I do pull-ups or anything else. Mm-hmm. Do you warm up your shoulders before you dance?
I do actually.
Okay, yeah, the circles.
Circle them. And because I do the same thing. And I'm like, what if it pops out? Like, I just don't want to have that problem. So yeah, no,
we have the fears. Well. Yeah. It's really good to do the warm-ups. And afterwards, I like to do the recovery too, like with a foam roller or just stretching out, like just a dead hang, which is when you just hold the bar and you just hang, and that kind of helps open up the shoulder. So I do the stretches afterwards. I do the mobility and agility and the warm-ups beforehand. And recovery takes a little bit longer. It's harder to get up and down. The joints are talking to me.
Yeah.
Especially in the morning.
It's incredible that you have gotten so far too without problems. It's considering how active you are now. And yeah, I'm so happy because you've managed to figure out how not to get injured. Like you said before, the game is to not get injured. And you can so easily jumping into this world, not that you went from 0 to 100 in one day, but you gradually worked up to it at an older age too, which is very commendable and inspiring as well. As some people may go, I'm already over the hill at 50, like forget it. Like, no.
That's the big saying, isn't it? Hallmark started that with those cards, like 50.
Yes.
It's all downhill from there. I specifically think that it's gotten better as I've aged. I love that mindset because I thought it was great being on the Broadway stage. But right now, I feel stronger than I ever did, even when I was dancing in my 20s. I feel stronger. I feel more confident and just healthy all around. Yeah. And of course, I can spend more time. I'm retired, so I can spend more time on myself, which those times when you're raising your kids and you're working 9 to 5 and then you're driving them to all their sports activities, it's a downtime. It's a time when people just give up the exercising. But now I'm finding that people are doing it with their children. Yep. They work out with the children. And I think that's great. Families are working out together. And I think that's important too, because it's a great bonding experience that I've experienced with my daughter. We do things. We just came back from Croatia and we did a Spartan 100-meter sprint and a 5K sprint. Now, I've never done a Spartan and I've never done a 5K. So it was a challenge for me. Yeah. But we spent all that time together and she's coaching me on the sidelines. So it's like I was cheering her on American Ninja Warrior. Now she's coaching me on the sidelines. Big swing to the back.
She must be so proud of you. And
And
it's
it's
such
a
a
lot of
bonding.
fun.
It's a wonderful way to bond.
Yeah.
It's so great that you both are into it. And I just imagine she's just so proud. It's my mom out there. It's so cool. So then what was the day that you said, hey, maybe I should be training for a ninja warrior experience? Did your daughter say something or?
I never thought that, never. But American Ninja Warrior had produced a spot of the two of us working out together, and they did such a beautiful job of that. It was for her, they do hometown stories. So they came to her house, and her house is just filled with obstacles. And we went to the stadium where the high schoolers go, and we went running up and down the bleachers. And it was just a really nice thing. And the camera people were saying, you should put in for this. At your age, you could do something and it would be inspiring. And I went, no, I can barely do one pull up. I'm not. And I don't know. The thought kept with me and I went, well, what's the harm in just submitting? I'll submit my 3-minute video of what I can do. And they like to see personality as well. So I did that and they called me. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? What do I do? And Jessie goes, well, you got to get to a competition and get the idea of what it's like to compete and to be in front of people. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so they have leagues. They have all these different leagues that you can go to. And so I traveled to Atlanta and went to one. And I felt really out of place. And I didn't know anybody. And I saw people looking at me like, you're gonna compete? They're very welcoming, but I did it to myself. I was like, I'm not 20 years old out here like a lot of them were. But I did pretty well at it, and it gets to be the time to compete, and it's at night. It's overnight, so they can make sure their lighting is proper. So you don't even start until 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
You might go on at like midnight or 1 o'clock, or like one time I went on at 4 a.m.
Oh my goodness, but why do they do that? I don't understand.
The lighting, like if they try to do it during the daytime, you have clouds coming in. It's very difficult to light it. The sky is going to be working against them. So at night, then they can create,
Light.
they can control it.
Everybody's like tired. Like it's just 4 a.m. I can't imagine. If you can go to bed and wake up at 4 a.m., that's another.
I know. I know. So anyway, there I am. And the first obstacle was inclining steps so that they're on an angle and they get more of an angle and they're far apart and it's over water and the lights are like right in your eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And they're further apart than I imagined. And the countdown started, 3, 2, 1, boop, and off I go. I jumped to the first step, and then I jumped to the second step and slipped right off and bloom right into the water. And I was so shocked. I was shocked. I was devastated. I went, this can't be happening. I'm not in the water. And it just absolutely destroyed me to be in front of all these people and to fall on the second step and to let down seniors and my husband who was there and my family and my daughter and seniors everywhere. Oh. And I kept reliving that just over and over. When you just keep seeing it, you just can't get it out of your head. Like, what happened? Was there dew on the step or my shoes? I don't know. And so I really, when I watched the show back, and they didn't show me, which I was grateful for, but when I watched it, the athletes make that first obstacle look so easy, but it is not. And so my husband says, well, you'll do it again. And I'm like, no, oh no, why would I do that? And he goes, because you can do it. You can do it. And my daughter says, don't let one fall define you. Look how far you've come. And so that gave me an effort. It took me a while to get over that. But once I pulled myself together and I started getting up, I went, I don't want to give this up. I'm enjoying it. I don't have to do American Ninja Warrior, but I want to keep doing it. So it propelled me to go again because it was true. We fall all the time in life. we have these things that you're embarrassed about, or you wish it never happened, or you wish you'd never done this. But it's just one little drop in the hat of life. And if you learn something from it, then it's a success actually, because you're learning the next step. You're learning what to do. You're learning what not to do. And so it was one of my biggest failures, but also biggest wins in that respect. So I kind of let that failure be my motivator or fuel to go on.
That's the difference. Unbelievable. You didn't let it define you. And I think when we have these obstacles, challenges, quote unquote, failures, we let it define us. And then, like you said, why would I want to torture myself again? Like the brain is like, no.
Exactly. Why not? But yeah, I look at it as myself against the obstacle, and I'm not going to let the obstacle win.
Yeah.
And
Incredible.
so I keep going. I don't know how long I'll keep going, but I'm going to keep going for right now. It's very funny on the Spartan 5K, the cameraman said something about he was worried to Jessie. He said that I don't know that she could do the sandbag carry. It's 40 pounds and it's up and down big hills and through rocks and a castle and stairs. And so I don't know if she can do it. And you know what? That made me determined to be able to do it. I was like, no matter what, I am carrying this thing the whole way. And I did. Yeah.
Oh, well done. Yes. Your mindset is just absolutely spot on.
Well, we have to work with our minds. I think the mental is 85%, maybe 95% of everything that we do. I'll look at a recipe and I'll go, oh my gosh, there's too many ingredients. I can't do this. But if I really wanted to do it, I would go out and I would get all those ingredients and I would do it. So I think that's kind of a good example of our mind. You can decide not to do it, or you can see that you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of setting your mind.
Have you heard of Nun Buter? She
No,
did a
spell
night
that. Oh, that's a name. Okay.
nun. She's a nun. Her name is Nun Ann Buter or Nun Buter. And she did a Nike commercial years ago. And she's in her 80s and she does triathlons and she does Ironman. She's done like 46 of them. Like the woman is unbelievable. And they show her in her nun outfit, like the commercial. If anyone just go and Google this on YouTube and you'll see this Nike commercial where she looks in her 80s, she looks like a nun, and then you see her riding her bike. Then you see her swimming. Every day she swims, every day she runs, every day she is biking and running. And it's unbelievable how much she does. And then there was a moment in this ad where they're starting the Iron Man and there's the person who's narrating the commercial says, no, 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 that's too much. Like you can't do that. And then she runs and says, well, the first 46 didn't kill me. And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant, and she's a real person and she's doing triathlons and Ironman in her 80s.
I have to say that I see it changing quite a bit, and many seniors are out running, they're biking, they're playing pickleball or tennis, or they're very active. And I am also a swimmer and I am competitive. I guess I like competition.
I wonder, you got a little competitive. Yes.
It's also that I like goals. So it's like I'm trying to beat my last time. But I went to nationals in the senior games or senior Olympics, whichever you choose to call it. And I saw, and it was not just swimming. It was like, I don't know, lots, hundreds of different kinds of sports that were that day or that week. And I watched the swimmers in their 80s and 90s, and they would dive off the block. They would do flip turns. They would do 200 yards of swimming, and they were able to walk, get out of the pool, walk without a walker, and they were making world records. And I was so inspired by what I just sat there and watched these people with different afflictions that still got out there and swam every day or every other day. And it was such a motivator for me to realize that I still have all these years ahead of me to continue to be active and a part of the community. And
Yeah, it's a privilege to age, and it's a privilege to have our two legs, and it's something I definitely, when I had osteoarthritis and couldn't move and couldn't walk, it was so depressing, and I could hardly
oh,
do a thing. And then now that I have two new hips, it's just so grateful. And I used to always say, now I always still do, is I get to go to the gym. I get to do that. I have the privilege of having two legs, and I've seen people who have no legs and they still get to the gym and they do their arms.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
it is what you want it to be, but it is very inspiring. And so I always think that there's this saying, I'm not sure if you heard it, you are the average of your five closest friends. And that means if you think about your people who are you surround yourself with if those people are athletic, well, then you'll tend to be athletic yourself. If they're depressed, you'll tend to be depressed as well. You just attract alike by like. And so it's if there's any advice I have for people listening now is go find, if you are inspired, go and find your athletic friends, or go and hang out, go to the Olympics, or go senior Olympics, or whatever it is, and you will see and get inspired, and that will help motivate you. And those people, you generally cheer you on in your goals. And if they're not, they're probably not the friends you should have anyways.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot should be said by that, by just going and watching this and seeing that not everybody is going to be the winning person. Winning isn't what it's all about. It's the process. And if you can see somebody that's out there doing it, and they may not get the best time, they may come in last. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's that you're out there moving, and that's the important thing. And I would hope that your audience will, if they're not already exercising, that they would get some form and find a buddy. I always say the first step may be those just walking, but if you have a buddy to do it with who holds you accountable, who knocks at the door and says, okay, let's go, it's so helpful. And you just start out small, baby steps, little by little, then maybe try to go a little faster and then come back to the slower walk, and just keep pushing yourself, go a little bit farther, try to go 3 days a week, try to go 5 days a week for 30 minutes. So each of those steps gets you closer to feeling better. And that's a great way to start, was with
It is.
like minds.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, this brings me to the next question, because you've achieved things most people half your age can't even do. So, what is one small daily habit or mindset shift that can make the biggest difference in how you move and feel today?
I'd have to say right away, strength training, weightlifting, resistance. That's where I was able to reverse osteopenia. That's where I gained confidence. That's where I feel accomplished. And it's the goal can change and keep changing. And it's nice to see how far you've come.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's got to be the number one thing that has changed my life and made it much better in my 60s and 70s.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And if you don't know what strength training is, or you're kind of lost, you've never done, this is where you get a trainer, right? You they'll
Absolutely.
teach you, and you start with just one little lift, or you work on that one little pull up and you get going. So before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about menopause, because that's our main focus
Right.
here. And I would love to know what was your menopause transition like? Is there anything that you noticed, any change, any shift? Was it difficult? Was it smooth sailing? What was it like for you?
Okay, that was in my late 40s, which is when we said that you tend to lose a lot of the bone density. I did not notice that though. I was a single mom and I had 3 different jobs, and I had no time or thoughts to anything going on. Maybe the cold sweat, the sweats and things like that, but I couldn't think about it. I had to raise these kids. I had to get them to their activities. I had to get this job done. And so that kind of took precedence over any kind of physical feelings that I had. But a lot of times I wonder if I had endometriosis in my 20s, and it was horrible. It was debilitating. And I'm wondering if because of that, that I wouldn't get trouble later on. I don't know. I had my trouble in my 20s, so I didn't seem to have trouble in the 40s. So I didn't really notice a huge change.
Yeah. I've spoken to some people before too in their 60s, 70s. And when I ask them about menopause, the ones that have, a few of them had suffered so much with disease or illness or pain, or that they say the similar thing. It was so much worse before. And then as I was going through the transition, they'd already kind of
Passed through it.
It passed through it. Yeah, they passed through much greater pain that menopause didn't seem as painful for them. But there's a lot of things that maybe people don't think about in terms of joint pain or rage or anxiousness, and sometimes when you go through, like you said, you were a single mom, so you have a difficult situation as it is, that maybe you don't even relate it to menopause because life is challenging.
It was a very emotional time. Yes, for sure. It was no doubt about that. It was just survival mode. So my circumstance, I guess, is a little bit different than many. I could not, and I guess I don't like to blame something on another reason. I just was trying to, I don't know, survive.
Yeah. Did the doctors ever talk to you about menopause? You say, oh, you
No.
were post, or have you stopped your period? Like, never questioned you about it?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Okay. So
I'm not even sure I got to doctors then, because I couldn't afford it and I couldn't get to a doctor. I'm sure many people went through that period where they didn't have the regular checkups and stuff like that too, especially when life takes over. You just don't have time the last thing you think about is yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that discussion, because osteoporosis, when we lose estrogen, we're at more risk for osteoporosis. So some doctors can prescribe estrogen and HRT for bones and to help with the bones. But that was never a conversation for you, I assume, either.
They never mentioned HRT, never mentioned it. And now I'm seeing and hearing things where they're saying that is good for your bones. So I don't know. If things go back and forth so much, it's very hard. I don't like taking anything. So I'm the last person that would take a Tylenol or anything. I try to use as natural means as possible. But so I probably, if they had mentioned it, I probably wouldn't take it, because I don't want to put anything in my body that I don't feel is totally natural. Maybe that is. But what I'm hearing now is that has kept women from getting osteopenia. So you really have to do your own research to find out what to do, and to realize that sometimes when they say this is the best thing to do, it changes in 10 years and they go, oh, that was not so good to do.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to get good research out there.
Yeah, well, the research continually evolves, right? There was low fat and non-fat, and then there's eggs are bad. Now eggs are good, and it changes all the time. So we have to adjust the circumstances. Same thing with HRT, with the Women's Health Initiative study that estrogen causes cancer, it's bad. And now they go, oh, no, it's actually really good. And we made a mistake.
Right.
And millions of women denied some treatment that they really need.
Yeah.
So you're
hearing that too, that the HRT now has changed. They're saying, I'm like, well, that wasn't an option for me.
No, this is why we call your generation the lost generation,
they do.
Yeah, because you seem to have been okay with it, but they're talking about women who hot flashes and night sweats and 20 of them a day, and they see all these changes, and you didn't feel those. Not that nothing's not happening under the hood, but women who've been really suffering have not been offered this, and that's the real problem. And then meanwhile, they have to suffer through this. And I always say menopause is inevitable. Suffering is optional now. We have solutions, and like you said before, you have to be your own health advocate. And then you have to make that decision whether HRT is for you or not. Everyone's so different, and you just need to go to your doctor with the information. So as I always say, most doctors are not trained in menopause and they're not trained in hormones, so they don't really know. They just know that they're not ready to treat you or help you. So you have to come in armed with knowledge and then ask the right questions and then make an informed decision together. And that's what I'm advocating for, whether it is pro or against HRT. Like, you have to feel comfortable. And again, we're all different. And I always encourage people to understand your body, know your DNA, know your blood work, know your hormones. And
know your history. You got to know your history as well. Yeah, knowledge. You need the knowledge of your body, what you can take. It may not be what your neighbor is doing or your friend, but you've got to really find out what's going on. Like the fact that I didn't even know what osteopenia was when I was hit with it is like, wow, that's why it's so important that we're talking and you're telling people to different options and to look into these things. It's very important.
Well, you're not the only one. Most people also get hit with osteopenia and say, okay, what is this? And when I was told I had osteoarthritis, I was like, what? I didn't know what that was either. And you learn because you get these diagnoses. So in the end, we just have to do our best. I always say, try to learn as much. You live in this body, you might as well take good care of it. It's the only home you're going to live in. So why not? And I think what you're doing is brilliant, and you're really taking care of your body. And as much we always see you swinging off ramps and rails and holding on things, if people just please go to her Instagram and look at the playground that you have with your daughter. It looks so much fun too. On top of it,
you know, it is fun. That I wouldn't be doing it if it weren't that fun. And every time you can get through an obstacle, it's a sense of accomplishment. Yeah. So I hope more people get that itch to move more and to take care of their bodies, like you said.
I love it. I love it. Are you going to be on another American Ninja Warrior again anytime soon?
Not this year, but maybe in the future. I'm not sure. I have a background of rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing until you get it proper. I like progressions. I like to see an obstacle, work on it. With American Ninja Warrior, you don't get a chance to get on the obstacle beforehand, and it may be something you've never seen before. And that's like very nerve invoking, and just the lights and the whole thing. I don't know that's the perfect one for me, but I still want to get further on it. So I have that decisions. How do we get through this? I have this unfinished business there, but is it right for me? So I have to weigh that. And then if I get stronger and better at obstacles, then maybe yes.
Okay, well, I'll be cheering you on if you do go, but regardless, cheering you on anyways. But I'm curious to know, before I let you go, also, what does your exercise routine look like just on a daily basis without preparing for a competition?
I go to a personal trainer still 3 to 4 times a week, 45 minutes. It's not like over working out. And I swim 2 to 3 times a week as well. That's an hour with a group of people with a coach. So it's constant swimming. That one is really difficult to get through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like, oh, my breath, I can't get my breath. And I also go and do obstacle training, but it's at a yard, somebody's backyard, where he has built obstacles. And there are like 6 of us women who get together and we do different things there. But I can't do a 7-foot lache because you'd land on the ground. You have to have all the mats and stuff around you. So, I mean, it's limited in what can be done, but I still enjoy the people, and I enjoy just being outdoors and grabbing a tree and doing the pegboard across to another tree. It's like outside and sunshine is really important for you as well. And moving outside and being outside is good. For so long, people were like, you don't want to be outside. It's bad for your skin and skin cancer. And I'm sure there's something to be said for it, but it also keeps people from gaining the good things that you get from sun. So that's pretty much it. Swimming, obstacle training, and I do mobility at home. Even do my rubber band thing. So I just try to keep moving.
What about stretching or yoga or these kind of stretching, I guess? Is that something you do?
Yes, yoga is a really important part of my life. I haven't been able to because I've been traveling, but I try to do bits and pieces of it. I have a gymnastics mat that I take outside under the trees, and I do some yoga there. And I'd like to probably in November get back to taking a weekly class.
And do you count your protein, make sure you get enough in, or is that just?
I do. I started that way back when I started with a personal trainer, upping my protein intake. I take half my plate is protein, half vegetables, and I like to stick to that. I eat a lot of fish, but the protein is an important part of, particularly when you're working out as much as I do, which is 6 days a week. And I change it to be push, pull, and leg day. Pushing is chest, pulling would be biceps and back, the legs, of course. So every time you're working out and you're working a specific muscle group, you do minuscule tears to the muscle. And you don't want to keep tearing without the chance to build up. So that's why I try to alternate the days that I work on different muscle groups.
And how much protein do you get a day, or do you not?
I try to do a gram per body weight. So I'm about 118 pounds, 119, something like that. So I try to get that many grams in, which is not easy. I think for each meal, I get like 35 grams of protein. I do the protein powders, but now they're coming out saying those are not so good to do either.
Oh, there's some really good ones. You just have to know which ones to get because there's
Research, knowledge, right?
Exactly. And do you take any creatine or any other muscle?
I have taken creatine. I'll do it for 6 weeks and then off for 6 weeks. But lately I have not taken it. I took it through the 5K and I just put it in my coffee. But now I'm off of it for a while too. It's a little bit of water retention. That's the only drawback I see to that. So it's good to just get off of it for a while.
Or you just go a little slower, a little bit less, and kind of find that sweet spot. So many hacks and things we can do if you like it. If not, I'm just curious. Right. What else do you take? So I'm going to really have to let you go because I could just talk to you forever. I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing. And you were just pioneering this way for us as well. And great advice. Is there anything that we should know about that's in the pipeline for you or something to look out for?
Let's see. The only thing that I'm working on right now, I'm taking a little bit of a break because I'm telling you that 5K carrying that 40-pound sandbag.
Still recovering.
And the whole trip was, so I just got back last week. Saturday. Yeah, a week ago. So I'm still like getting back into the routine and I like having that routine and that structure. But I'm working on something that is at a football stadium where I have to do pull-ups. And I guess they take sections. And we'll see how that works. That's why I'm working on how many pull-ups I can do in a short period of time. So that might be fun. Just a whole different challenge. What the heck? Why not? The worst that can happen is that I don't do that many. So.
Exactly. And you learn from that and you grow from it. So I'm so grateful. I'll have a link to your Instagram and your Facebook and your YouTube in the show notes. And everyone, please go and follow her. And as well, your daughter. I think she's such an inspiration. I just love her little Wonder Woman outfit when she's doing all her amazing things. But both of you, just as mother and daughter, is also super inspiring. And I just wish you all the best and grateful for everyone who listened to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing your time with us. And thank you, Ginny, for all you do. Take care.
Thanks to you and your audience. And I hope if I could get one person to get up and get moving or lifting weights or walking, I'll consider it a big win.
Oh, love it.